Hey guys, so today I have my second annual planning to pan video. So I did one of these last year as well, and a lot of you guys seem to really enjoy it, and I got quite a few requests to do another one this year. So this is just basically where I go through my makeup collection and pick out some products that I think I might like to include in my project pan in the upcoming year, products that are kind of on my radar. Some of these are older products that I'd like to start using up. Some of them are just, I don't know, products that I'm in the mood to pan. So we're also going to take a look at the items that I talked about in last year's planning to pan video, which of them I actually ended up using up, which ones I didn't even get around to using. Some of them I ended up decluttering. So we're going to go through and talk about that first, and then I'll share the products that are on my radar for my 2022 project pan. And yes, I do plan on continuing to project pan in the new year. I love project panning. For me, it just makes a lot of sense for my brain. What am I doing here? I love project panning because it just helps me be more mindful with my makeup consumption. I really enjoy the process of seeing how long it takes to use up different types of products. It also helps me keep in mind how long it truly takes to use up a single makeup product, so it stops me from overbuying. So I plan to continue doing project pans for the foreseeable future. So let's go ahead and take a look at the products that I talked about in last year's video. So in my 2020 video, I counted, if I counted correctly, there were 19 total items on my list. And that's not to say this was the only list of products I was pulling from. Sometimes when it was time to roll in a new product, I'd pick out one that wasn't on this list, but these are just kind of the things that I wanted to keep kind of top of mind. So out of those 19 total items, so far when I'm filming this, and I am filming this on December 1st, I have used up 7 of those items, and one more of them is most likely going to be finished by the end of the year, and that's the e.l.f. monochromatic multi-stick, which I have right here. I'm currently just using up what I dug out of there. The other 7 that I used up were the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. That one I actually was able to use up really quickly, like way faster than I intended to, way faster than I even wanted to. I don't know how I flew through that, but that is long gone. I miss it so much. The Too Faced Born This Way Concealer is another one that I used up. That was one that took like more than half of the year. I think I finished that in September and I started working on it in January. I still am riding that high, honestly. That was a huge accomplishment for me. I also used up the Milani Conceal and Perfect Concealer. That I just used up like last month. Luckily, there was not much left. I did not care for that concealer, so I'm happy to have that one moved out. The Jordana Forever Flawless Pressed Powder is another one that I just recently finished off. Feels good to have another powder out of my collection. I really prefer to have a more minimal powder collection. So that and the e.l.f. Prime and Stay Finishing Powder, that was the other one that I talked about in my video last year, and that one I did also use up earlier this year, so those 2 powders are gone. The Dose of Colors lip gloss in On Repeat I used up this year. I think that was the first lip gloss I finished this year, and I've now used up 2 additional lip glosses since then. I remember last year I was thinking, oh, I'll be lucky if I can get through just this one in 2021, but this year was like the year of using up lip glosses for me. I think I'm enjoying lip glosses a lot more than ever before, and I find it very easy to use them up because I reapply them often. They're almost like a lip balm in a way. So yeah, I really exceeded my expectations this year for lip gloss, because that was the only lip gloss that was on my list last year. And then the e.l.f. Matte Lip Crayon in Tea Rose is the last product on this list that I used up. So those are the 7 I have used up, and then the e.l.f. Monochromatic Multi-Stick will more than likely be used up also at the end of this year. I actually ended up decluttering 4 of these items this year, and those were the Milani Blush in Romantic Rose. I did like a blush and highlighter declutter earlier this year, and so I decluttered a couple of things there. That was one of them. That blush, it had just gotten very old, and I kind of realized I didn't like it as much as I thought I did at one point. And the Terre Mineral Blush in Rosy, that was a loose blush. Again, it was very old, and I just was realizing, I don't really want to pan this, so I think that means it's time to move on. The third product I decluttered was another Terre product. It was their loose eyeshadow in Moonstone. I forgot about that. I think that was also my like eyeshadow declutter that I did at the beginning of this year. So it didn't take long for me to realize, I don't really think I want to put myself through panning this, especially because I had similar eyeshadow colors in my collection. And then I also ended up having to declutter my Colourpop Super Shock Shadow in Sailor. That actually was in my project pan for a little while this year, and I did hit pan on it. I had to revive it a couple of times because it had started to dry out. First time I revived it with eye drops, which actually worked pretty well, although it didn't like really bring it back to its original state. It allowed me to get some more use out of it for a couple more months. And then it got dry again, so then I used rosehip seed oil, which was a bad idea because that went rancid in like 2 days. So it got a really gross like rancid oil smell, so I had to get rid of that. But I have kind of realized Colourpop Super Shock shadows, as much as they tempt me and as beautiful as they are, I really don't think I want to continue bringing those into my collection. I don't think I bought any Super Shock shadows this year. Another one of mine that actually was also on my planning to pan list last year was Bill, and that one is really getting crumbly again, and I think I'm probably just gonna have to chuck it because they just dry out like crazy. And then my oldest Super Shock shadow, I had all 3 of my Super Shock shadows on my planning to pan list last year. My oldest one is Liberty, which is a silver. That one I've had since like 2018, and that one is still going strong. So there seems to be a lot of variation in the different finishes of the Colourpop Super Shock shadows and the shades themselves. So those are the 4 I decluttered: the Terre blush, the Terre eyeshadow, the Milani blush, and the Colourpop Sailor Super Shock shadow. So that leaves 7 items on this list that I did not use up. They're still in my collection. One of them is the NYX Born to Glow foundation. I go back and forth on this foundation. What I've really found is that this is good for my skin when I have more oily skin in the warmer months and when I don't have a lot of dry patches. Unfortunately, this summer I had very combination skin, like because my skin was adjusting to tretinoin, I had a lot of peeling, but I was also kind of oily, so this wasn't great for those times because of the dry patches, so it didn't make sense for me to include this in my project pan this year after all. But I mean, you can see there's really, like, it looks like I've used a lot of it, so I feel like 2022 might be the year that I could finish this off. Just we'll see how my skin does. I've been on a bit of a roller coaster the last year with my skin. My skin type has changed. Now it's more, I would just call it combination now. It's really nowhere near as dry as it used to be. It's finally seeming to kind of level out with the tretinoin. I haven't been experiencing much peeling. I think after like the 6 or 7 month mark was when I finally saw the peeling kind of die down. Also on last year's list, I had my Becca Champagne Pop Highlighter Powder and Liquid, and the powder is the one that I ended up rolling into my project pan, and I've made a lot of progress on it. I ended up having to repress it, not because the pan was that big, but because it shattered. These mini Becca highlighters are very fragile. Definitely used a lot of this, but I don't necessarily want to use this up that quickly. I just kind of wanted to enjoy it, and I have been enjoying it very much in my project pan. The Liquid Champagne Pop, this is one I didn't get around to including in my project pan this year, but look how much is already used up in here. And this is one I definitely do see myself rolling into my 2022 project pan, probably pretty early on, because if anything, I'd rather get more use out of the liquid than the powder at this point, just because liquids can go bad a little bit faster than powders. So like I said, I had those 3 Super Shock shadows on my list. Sailor got decluttered, and I'm left with Bill and Liberty. Bill is so crumbly. I do love this shade, but I think it's about time. Yeah, it's falling apart. Liberty, I do still have. This is the one that I've had the longest, but I still get plenty of color payoff. It hasn't started to crumble. I don't think I want to have this on my planning to pan list for next year because I feel like having these Super Shocks in my project pan kind of bores me. The progress on these is always very slow. I kind of have given up hope on ever fully using one of these up. I also am toying with the idea of a pan those eyeshadows in 2022. I know, crazy. I never thought I would say that, but I used to do something similar called eyeshadow roulette, which was kind of my version of it that wasn't really focused on panning, but now I kind of am ready to rise to the challenge, I think. I might just try it out for like the first 3 months and just see how it goes, and then if I am enjoying it, I'll continue. If I decide it's not for me, I can stop, but I'm thinking about it. I'm not fully 100% sure yet. So for that reason, I don't really have any eyeshadows on my planning to pan list for 2022. The last 2 from my list last year that are not finished, but that I do still have, are both lip products. So first I have the Ofra Liquid Lipstick in Laguna Beach. This is my oldest lip product, so I did roll this into my project pan a couple of months ago. I've been working on it. I highly doubt I will finish this before it expires. In fact, I'm thinking once we reach the end of 2021, I will probably be decluttering this. I do have kind of an end of year declutter coming up soon, and I have a feeling this will probably be one of those things that's ready to go. It's just very old at this point. I think it's probably getting close to time to retire it, so I'm trying to get as much use and enjoyment out of it as I can this year, but then I think it'll probably be time to just say goodbye. And then lastly on last year's list was the Burt's Bees Gloss Lip Crayon in Santorini Sunrise. And the reason I had this on my list last year was because my friend Sharon had actually decluttered this to me and I wasn't sure how old it was, so that's why I was thinking, okay, maybe I want to use this up this year. But then she was actually able to tell me the exact date that she bought this because she, like me, keeps track of when she purchases makeup items, which, see, this is why we're friends. And it turns out it wasn't as old as I thought it was, so that kind of got put on the back burner for me. So that's why I didn't get around to that. I do still love this and use it all the time. It's a great, like, peachy, everyday, nude, gloss, balm type of thing. I really enjoy it. So those are the 19 items from last year's list, and I feel pretty good about it. I feel like having used up 8 of the 19, that's a little bit less than half, but still a pretty good number, and there were many more products I used up that were not on this list. So I feel like now another year of project panning is over. I've kind of gotten to know my consumption habits even better than before, so I feel like this year's selection of products I could realistically get around to panning at some point in 2022. I may not completely use up all of these, but they're just things I'd like to kind of keep an eye on. Even if they don't end up in my project pan, I would like to kind of maybe unofficially project pan them. So I've gone through my collection and picked out a bunch of items that I would like to pan in the new year. Even if all of these don't make it into my project pan at some point, I would still like to kind of keep an eye on them and maybe, you know, make a point to use them more even if I don't truly use them up. So the first item is the Pacifica Liquid Cover Concealer. This is one of my oldest concealers, if not the oldest, and this I found I really like using as a foundation, believe it or not. I don't like it so much as an under eye concealer, but it looks beautiful as a foundation somehow, so that is probably how I'll use this up, and I think I should be able to go through it pretty quickly using it that way because obviously I'm going to be using a lot more of it than I would if I were using it as a concealer. And I would also like to think about my NYX Born to Glow foundation again this year. Like I said, didn't get around to panning it this year, but I think now that my skin is hopefully calming down, I do really enjoy this when my skin is more on the oily side, so this would probably be something I would roll in the summertime. This year, in 2021, I've used up 2 foundations, which is kind of a lot, I think, for me at least. So I really don't think it should be too hard to use this up as long as my skin can get along with it. I actually have 3 blushes that I am considering panning. The first one is the Flower Beauty Blush Balm in Pinched. This is one of my older blushes and it is a liquid blush, and this also, you can see, I've already used up quite a bit of it. Yeah, I would just like to use it up. This is kind of a sheer formula, a little bit more sheer than I currently am into. I prefer a slightly more intense blush look these days, but I think it would be nice for like lighter makeup days, or I could even, you know, layer other blushes on top of it if I want to. So I feel like this actually wouldn't be that hard to use up. I know I've seen people pan these before. I'm probably feeling a little bit over ambitious because I did use up 2 blushes this year, or I will have used up 2 blushes if I do finish my e.l.f. blush stick, but I feel like I'm on a bit of a roll. So the other 2, and I doubt I'll use up all 3 of these, but I also have the Covergirl Cheekers blush in Natural Twinkle. This is another older one, but it is a powder blush. I have hit pan on this already, and there's not as much product in this pan as most blushes. This only has 3 grams, which I think is pretty small. A mini Becca highlighter is 2.4 grams, so it's really not that much bigger than like a mini product from some brands. So that shouldn't be too hard. We'll see. And then another liquid blush that I'd like to consider is the Cloven Hallow Hydra Tint blush in Blossom. I love this so much. They discontinued it, which I'm really, I can't believe they did that. I really can't. Now they have some other cream blush that's in a pan, which I'm sure that one's great too, but this was one of my favorite products of last year and this year. So, but because Cloven Hallow is a bit more of like a clean, natural brand, I say that with a bit of an eye roll because I don't really like that terminology, but since they use like simpler ingredients, I'm, you know, a little concerned that this might go bad more quickly than other more mainstream brands. So that's why I would like to consider this as well. Also, I just love it, and I love panning products that I love. And I really think that's what project panning should be all about, is just encouraging yourself to use the products that you love and also like discover your preferences over time. So those are the 3 blushes I have in mind. Probably the first one I would want to tackle is the flower one though, because I think this is the oldest. It might be around the same age as my Covergirl one, but it's a liquid, so that it takes priority kind of. And then I also mentioned I would like to roll the Becca liquid highlighter over for next year because I didn't get around to it this year. I don't think this should be too hard. It's a mini, not a whole lot of product in here. I've already used so much of it, even though I feel like I haven't used that much of it, you know? So that shouldn't be too hard. And this is something, it's a very subtle highlighter, so it might be nice to wear underneath foundation or to mix with foundations. There's a lot of ways you can use this kind of product. So that one I think shouldn't be too hard. Another highlighter is the Colourpop Super Shock Cheek in Monster. Because it's a Super Shock, I just would like to start getting some more use out of it. It's still very creamy, even though I've had it for as long as I've had Bill, the one that's crumbling. So that just goes to show it seems like they're very inconsistent. But this is a really pretty like duochrome white-ish pink highlighter. It's very different from anything else I own. So I think that would be a nice one to work on as well. I don't know if I'd be able to finish it. I don't know. We'll see. All the rest of the products are eyeliners and lip products. Lately I'm kind of on a bit of an eyeliner kick. Colorful eyeliner, as you can see I'm wearing green eyeliner today. I love eyeliner lately. It's so funny because there was a time a couple years ago where I never even wore eyeliner except for the occasional like black liquid liner, but now I can't get enough. I want to have all the colors. I'm enjoying them. So this year I've really been enjoying having like one colorful eyeliner in my project pan and just having the goal to use it like 5 times a month, which is a pretty, low goal, but it just keeps me making sure that I'm using them. The first one, and this will probably be the highest priority one, this is the NYX Vivid Brights liquid liner in Vivid Halo, so it's a yellow. This would be a great like spring and summertime eyeliner, I think. This is getting a little bit older, so this would probably be one that I might even like to use up next year, or it might probably be time to retire it at some point next year, even if I don't use it up completely. So just want to get some use out of that. And then the rest are blue eyeliners. I'm also a huge fan of blue eyeliners. The Urban Decay liner in Roxy, this is currently in my 2021 project pan. It will not be done by the end of the year. So I might want to try to get some more use out of this next year as well in my project pan. My Makeup Revolution eyeliner in Sky Blue. This is new to my collection. I bought it this year to replace my Wet n Wild one that I used up. But again, I would just like to encourage myself to use this more. I might have it in for like a month or two and then roll it out, that kind of thing. And then finally, this is another newer one to me. This is the Urban Decay. It's actually an eyeshadow stick. So it's kind of an eyeshadow, and you can also use it as an eyeliner because it's like a chubby crayon. In the shade Fishbowl. This was sent in PR. I've used it once, I think. But I would like to use it more than that because it's a really fun color, this sort of light sky blue sort of shade. It looks pretty in the waterline, looks pretty as an eyeliner, or, even as an all over lid color or eyeshadow base, I think it would be pretty. So another one that I probably wouldn't be able to completely finish, but I would at least like to make some progress on it and just make sure that I use it and that it doesn't just sit and dry out. And the rest are lip products. So I've got 3 lip glosses. Like I said, I did use up 3 lip glosses this year, and so I feel like that's a reasonable number to try to use up next year as well. So first I have the Milani gloss in Soft Rose. This is the one that I would want to use up first because it is my oldest gloss currently. And that's kind of how I like to pick products, is I like to prioritize products that I've had longer that might expire sooner than other things. So this I actually just rolled into my project pan for this year, just for the last month of the year, even though I know I won't use it up before the finale. I just wanted to start getting some use out of it because I know this would be the next one I'd want to use up. So I love this. I'm wearing it currently. This is my perfect lip gloss color. It seriously matches the color of my natural lips. So it just always looks good. I can never go wrong with this. So I love that. I will be enjoying that to the very end. I might even repurchase it when it's done. The next oldest lip gloss is my e.l.f. Lip Plumping Gloss in Pink Cosmo. And this actually has less product in it than most glosses. For comparison, this is 0.9 ounces. The Milani one is 0.13. So I feel like this should be pretty easy to use up. I've already used up probably like half of it. I use this all the time, even not having it in a project pan, so I think I'd enjoy that as well. And then the third one, if I do use those 2 up, the next one in line would be the Bite Gay Sayer Gloss in Sugar Drizzle. You guys know how much I love this one. I love the packaging of this so much, and I think it would be so satisfying to pan because you can see exactly how much is left. You can very easily track your progress, so I think that would be a lot of fun. So that would be the next one. How much does this have in it? 0.175 ounces. Okay, wow, so this actually has the most product in it of the three, but I mean, I've already made a pretty big dent in that. So I've actually got a red lip liner on my list for next year. This is the Milani lip liner in True Red. This is truly one of my oldest products. I've had this for a very long time, but I do feel like these wooden lip liner pencils really don't go bad as quickly as, you know, like a bullet lipstick or a liquid lipstick, because most of the product isn't being exposed to air for the majority of its life. So I think it's fine. It doesn't have a smell. It performs well. Haven't had any issues, so I'm gonna keep it. But because it's old, I would like to potentially see some more progress on it next year. And I've never had a red lip liner or lipstick in my project pan that I can remember, but I think it would be fun. I think I would, again, set a pretty low usage goal, like maybe like 3 to 5 uses a month, something very easy and attainable. But for one, I love red lipstick, and two, I think it would push me to actually wear it more often. Because sometimes I'm just like, oh no, it's easier to reach for a nude, I know it'll work well, but I think I would like to get in the habit of wearing red lipstick more often, because I just love how I feel when I wear red lipstick. It's like a total confidence booster for me. So I think that would be a nice little challenge for me, even if I don't fully use it up. And then I also have a red lipstick that I'm thinking about. It's the Physicians Formula Healthy Lip. This is one of my all-time favorite reds. It is so fun and vibrant. I don't know if I'd be able to use it up, but this is another slightly older product in my collection, so I would just like to make sure that I use it in the new year, because I feel like I really haven't used it very much this year, and that makes me sad because I love it. Another thing I would eventually like to roll over into next year, I might take a little break from it at the beginning of the year, but this I've been working on a lot this year as well. It's the Urban Decay Lip Pencil in Manic. This is a great just rosy nude lip pencil, and I feel like I'm probably about halfway done with it now, so that shouldn't be too hard. It goes well with the Milani gloss or the e.l.f. lip plumping gloss, and a lot of my, you know, lipsticks that I have in my collection. So, and then the other lipstick I've chosen is the Covergirl Cream Lipstick in Honeyed Bloom. This I bought right when Covergirl went cruelty-free in 2018, so it's been a while. This is a nice kind of soft, creamy formula, so presumably it shouldn't be too hard to use up, and I also like to use lipsticks as cream blushes in my project pan because it just helps me go through them a little bit more easily. And you can see I've only got that much left, so really not a lot, and that's from not even really using it all that often. And this goes really nicely with that Urban Decay lip pencil and with the Milani gloss, really any of these glosses that I mentioned. So that's kind of what I have planned for my project pan next year. I may not get around to actively panning every single one of these things. I'm sure I won't completely use up all of these. That would be crazy. But these are just kind of the products that I'd like to keep kind of on the top of my priorities list for next year. I'll probably refer back to this list when I'm picking products for my project pan, and then as I'm rolling new products in throughout the year. These are just the ones that I'd like to keep in mind. So I hope you guys enjoyed getting kind of a sneak peek of the items that I would like to use up next year. I'll also leave my project pan playlist link down below if you'd like some more content like this, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you tomorrow in my next video. Bye!